Hey guys, welcome to episode 47 of Reconstructing Cave Story. In this episode, we're going to be creating our death cloud particle effect, and it's just going to be a single death cloud. Normally, when a creature dies, it spits out a certain number, like a bat spits out 3 different death clouds in different directions, but we're just going to be handling a single death cloud particle when a creature dies, or that you would see when a creature dies. We won't create it at the right time yet. We'll just create the particle effect. So our solution is just going to be given an angle, a center, and a speed, fly outward from the center. So it's just going to vary based on these 3 parameters: the angle, where it's centered, so center X and center Y, and the speed at which it moves outwards. And it's just going to be a single loop animation, and it'll just expire when it's finished. So return false in its update loop. And the animation itself is in an NPC sim, and it's just right here, this top left almost, except 1 tile over to the right, and it's 7 frames long, and that's all there is to it. And a lot of this we've done before, but it's also got the whole movement with it, so we're actually going to be using our elapsed time inside of our update, so it'll be useful now. But yeah, that's it. Let's get started. So let's go into, I'm going to open the immobile dissipating or immobile single loop particle, because it's going to be pretty similar to this, but different enough to not use the same code, just kind of copy it. So I'll open up a new file as well, and we'll call it deathcloudparticle.h. We'll give it the header guards. And this is going to inherit directly from particle, so let's include particle. So let's look at what we want to include. We aren't going to create a virtual destructor, but we will need an update and a draw. So let's put those in here. And we'll need a constructor, but I'll get to that in a second. And yeah, I think all we'll need is just the animated sprite. Okay, so I'm just going to exit out of this then. So let's create our constructor now. So death cloud particle, excuse me. And it's going to take in a graphics, as well as a center X and a center Y. And on top of that, we are going to need to know our speed, so units of velocity called speed, and we will want to also keep track of an angle. We'll want to take in an angle, so units of degrees angle. So let's think about how we're going to store all this information. We'll store the center X and center Y as const units of gain, because those won't change. We will store the speed as a const unit of velocity. Again, it's not going to change, so you const units of velocity speed. And then we're going to want to store our angle, but we will also want to store our offset. So let's store it in a polar vector. So I'll include polar vector. A lot like we did for our head bump particle effect. So polar vector. Let's call it offset. Let's see, is there anything else we need? So this is the interface right here for the particle. And this stores all of the information we're taking in from our constructor. So I think that's all we need. So I'm going to create a CC file to go along with this. So let's add new item. polar, nope, not polar, depth cloud particle.cc, add. And we'll start by including our depth cloud particle. Okay, so let's implement our constructor now. So depth cloud particle, scope it in, and let's just copy it because that's easier. Oh, and wait, one more thing I need is an animated sprite. Almost forgot. So let's include animated sprite and put it down here at the bottom. All right, so depth cloud particle. Yeah, copy these. And let's initialize everything. I don't like that. So center X will get center X. Center Y gets center Y. Speed gets speed. Our polar vector, let's see, our offset is going to, I forget which order, so it takes in a magnitude. So we'll start it off at being exactly 0 offset, so our magnitude will be 0, and then our angle will be equal to the angle that we get passed in. And then we also need to initialize our sprite. So this is going to take in a lot of stuff that we don't have yet, so let's just do k sprite name units tile to pixel of k source x, and then same thing for k source y, which again we're going to create these in a minute. I'm just writing everything out now while I'm here. And k fps and k num frames. So that should be everything. Let's go ahead and create all of these constants. So we'll start with the sprite name, const standard string k sprite name. This is going to be an NPC sim. Maybe I need to, oh, I don't think I do. And then const units of tile k source x is equal to 1 because it's 1 tile to the left, k source y is 0, width is 1, and height is 1. And finally kfps, I wrote it down in here, I think it's 18, and num frames is 7, so const unit of fps, k fps is equal to 18, num frames is equal to 7. Yeah, so that should be it. Let's create our update and draw, and these are going to be really similar to our immobile single loop particle, like where we have the sprite dot, we return sprite dot num completed loop. So that's why I opened this originally, and I realize now it's really not that much logic, and we could probably just do it from our heads, but hey, something to reference. So let's change immobile single loop particle to depth cloud particle. Ugh. So it's just going to be sprite.update, return sprite.num completed loops is equal to 0. And then here, for our sprite.draw, that's going to be different. We're going to pass it center x plus our offset, so plus offset dot get x, and y, center y plus our offset dot get y. And then finally, let's update our magnitude of our offset. So this is just going to be offset dot magnitude plus equals our velocity times our elapsed time. And the velocity is the speed, and the elapsed time is right here. inside of elapsed time. So elapsed time. And that should do it, I think. So let's go into our game class and actually create it. The other thing I'm going to do is... No, I'm going to go to the game class first and see what we need there. So let's go to game CC, include this new death cloud particle effect, and add it right down here where we've been adding our test particles. So particle system dot add new particle boost shared pointer, nope, shared pointer to a particle, creating it with a new death cloud particle, giving it graphics, center X and a center Y. So let's do just the center of the screen, 240. Speed, let's do 0.12 F, I think is a good number. And then degrees, angle, so let's do, I don't know, 90 degrees. How about that? And I'm going to build and see how it builds. Looks like it built fine, so let's run it. Okay, yeah, it's as I suspected. It's too fast for us to be able to see it. So how about this? Instead of creating it in here, let's create it when we kill the bat. So let's go down to bat, if bat.update, right here where we reset the bat. Let's create it inside here. And it won't be right where the bat died, but that's okay. Actually, we could just do it right where the bat dies. And so that'll be bat center X and center Y. And I'm thinking about it, and I'm wondering if I remember to include the offset. Offset X, center X. Okay, yeah, so we actually need to offset this center X by half a tile because we draw from the top left, and this is expecting us to draw it centered. So let's center it by subtracting off half a tile. So now we can build and run, and we should see it come out of the bat. It'll be kind of lame, but let's see. So yeah, there we go. It kind of just explodes downwards, which is what we want. Let's try a different angle for fun. Let's try 45. No, negative 45. Yeah, you like that? Okay. So this should shoot up and to the right. And it does, and it looks pretty good. And I'm actually really happy with that. So this concludes this episode. In the next episode, we'll create a static method that will help us generate random death clouds and then, yeah, put them in when we need them. So that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching, guys, and happy developing.